Lights on. Two things: you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight. I don't need the lights, and it's not raining. It's not raining.
This is
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
No, call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me over?
77, 35. I'm fucking with the driver. I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
Step out of the vehicle.
No.
Step out of the vehicle. 25 seconds. For 9-4, the driver just slammed the door and locked it. Cool. I've already told you. Okay. Okay. Right now you're under arrest for resisting. You understand? You're under arrest for resisting. The longer you take us on, the worse it's going to be. Open the door and exit, or we are going to break the window. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. I'm about to break the window. I'm about to break the window.
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hands.
Here.
1033 at 1521 hours.
Step out. What is your reason? Step out now. No, don't touch it.
Put your hands behind your back! Hands behind your back!
Welcome back, my PBM family. Welcome back. First, I'd like to give a shout out, right, to my supporters who constantly continue sending me videos for us to give assessments on. I appreciate you. Love you for that. And please continue supporting. Share, like each video as much as you possibly can. JR Don, he's doing amazing with videos. Wesley Edward, video, sending nothing but much videos. Supreme Cuts, stay sending videos. And my boy Rick from Mint Condition, appreciate you, bro. Love the support that you always supported PBM. So I love you for that. Well, my PBM family, this is another episode of Old School Cops where we bring you the good, the bad, the ugly when we look at these videos. If the officer is correct, then we support them, and we base our experiences solely based on law, policy, procedures, and training. My partner today is going to be, I call him OG of law enforcement. He spent many years. He's probably the oldest guy I know that has the most experience in law enforcement. He was a Memphis police officer. Then he went to DEA, has an amazing receipt record on his police work. So, you got a lot of people talking about what they've done. I respect people who've done the job well, and can support it. And he's one of those guys, because I'm one of those guys. I don't sit here because everybody's wearing his uniform wasn't a good cop. So I like to see a track record of people wearing uniforms and actually done the job correctly and did it without costing the taxpayers any dollars, because we followed the law, we follow policy, we follow training. So just, when you see my boy Ted, know like he's the guy. He's definitely the guy who's done the job. When it comes down to this particular video, we see this. This is a video that went viral. I see it several different issues with it. And one of the issues I have with it is probable cause. The officer told the subject in the vehicle, because you didn't have lights on. I contacted a few attorneys. I looked it up myself. The probable cause wasn't there. Either it had to be inclement weather, raining, or it was dark. It was, looking at the video, everything looked pretty bright. And if we know Mims versus Pennsylvania versus Mims, we know that officer could pull you out the car anytime, right? So when we look at force used on these particular videos, we got to look at, not judge whether the subject was being an idiot, or the subject was being just uncooperative. Officers are trained, right, to use force according to the resistance or fight a subject is giving up. We're supposed to match it and a little bit overcome it. match it and overcome it a little bit. It has to be very reasonable. Passive resistance is not a fight. I'm just don't want to do what you say, so I have to put hands on you because you're not complying. You're not doing what I asked you to do. So grabbing you, pulling you out, doing some arm locks, arm bars, getting you out. When somebody's not fighting you, when somebody's not putting up a huge fight, they're not swinging at you. They just like, I don't want to do what you say. I don't see where I should be punching you in your face. Punching you in your face in the car. Punching you in your face when you get out. It's 5 of us. You get thrown to the ground. I got your hair and I'm smashing your face on the concrete. It just seems excessive. And I'm looking at, based on my training experience, being an instructor, being a vice president of a union, defending officers when I get in these jams, because I know how the department's going to write you up when they look at an incident like this and they feel a need that they want to put you in a jam. They're going to ask, right? Is the officer's actions consistent with policy and training? And looking at the officer's use of how they applied force, regardless of this dude's being an idiot, he's not listening, he's not compliant, he's being real, he's challenging the authority. My force got to be based off of how the resistance is and what kind of fight you're putting up. So when you look at these incidents, ask yourself, not whether he's an asshole or not, whether he's being a prick, whether he's saying a bunch. That's not force. Force is not based on that. Just I want you to keep in mind the amount of fight, the amount of resistance. Does it match what the officer's response to that resistance or fight, what he's given? If it's excessive, then we know it's not policy. Stop blaming the guy for the officer not following policy. If the guy would have just complied, the officer wouldn't have went out of policy. That absolutely makes no damn sense at all. No sense. If we wanted anybody just that can use force, we've been hiring bouncers, gang members, and everybody else that just goes out who's ready to scrap with somebody. No. You hire somebody, you do a background check, make sure they ain't criminal, make sure the psychological, make sure they kind of can understand laws and how to follow procedures, the law, constitution. And we say, look, you guys, we're giving you all this power. We're giving you the authority to take a life, take freedom. It's just so much authority. We need to hold these guys to that standard according to the powers that they're given. So stop saying if he would apply. If the officers would have followed training and procedures, the taxpayers wouldn't be paying a huge bag for this payout. Go ahead, Ted.
But I say this much: the fault of the camera system that they wear is that once the subject gets close to them, you really can't see what's going on. Much like what happened with the Memphis video where they killed the guy. The close video, all you can tell is there's a tussle going on, and you really can't see some of the blows being delivered. But I'll say it this way: if you exercise patience when dealing with someone who's being non-compliant, eventually you'll get them to do what you need them to do. The smartest thing would have been to just go on and call the supervisor and let the supervisor come there and offer his comments. But I think the outcome would have been the same. They probably would have had to break the window and pull him out because, he was being non-compliant. But your force should be equal to whatever his force is. He didn't have any force. Okay, he was basically drug out of the car, smacked a couple of times, pushed down on the ground, and for us as law enforcement officers, there's a time and a place for that. I'm being honest with you. There have been some people that I've had to handle that I didn't have a choice because they just did not want to cooperate. But folk who are just being non-compliant, usually the conversation goes through, they wind up with a ticket and they go on about their business. But I'm with you, Joe. Through the poisonous tree. You don't have a legitimate reason to stop this man. Your headlights weren't on. What cop has time in these days to look at someone's headlights in the daytime and say that they should have been on? I'm sorry, it wasn't raining. It wasn't foggy. That was just a reason to pull a brother over. That's all that was. Let me stop for something. like the guy who walks up the back of the car and breaks the tail light and says you got a broken tail light and the glass is sitting right there. He just did it. Or the guy that says your turn signal wasn't working, and then after you check your turn signal, it's wrong. Man, I'm sorry. I thought you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
In this situation, there's no legitimate reason to pull him over. He didn't run a stop sign. He wasn't speeding. He wasn't doing a J-turn in the middle of the street. He didn't leave the curb. He wasn't reckless driving. He wasn't following too close. There are so many things that you can follow somebody and wait and make a mistake on. You know, he did a California stop. He just rolled through the stop sign. That kind of thing. You can get him on. But to say, and it's recorded. He said your headlights. Yeah. Okay. Which is a bald-faced lie, Joe. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to pull you over and have a conversation. Let's pull you over and have a conversation. But don't be asking me for stuff that you don't have a legitimate reason to ask me for.
Let me ask you something, Ted. When we look at this video, right? They get into a conversation, a back and forth about the legitimacy of the stop. The subject closes the door and goes, "Nah, get a supervisor here." He quickly says, "You're under arrest for resisting." What the hell are you resist? Like, I don't even understand. Like I try to figure that out.
If he got the get away, yeah, but no.
Don't the resistance, and I never charged nobody with resist. Let me see. Have I ever charged somebody with resisting arrest? I can't remember. That's not a popular charge.
With disturbance of the peace.
Right. I can't remember. If I did, it wasn't many times. That's why I can't remember. But normally a resist charge, right, is followed by a legit arrest already. So if I have a charge and you're resisting from the initial charge, then I can charge you a resisting. But there was no initial charge.
Let's quantify that, Joe. Joe, let's quantify that. The resisting is because you got your ass whooped, and I got to put on paper why I hit you. that's the resisting.
Right. I don't get it. Right.
Resisting is when we had this brother in Memphis, man. He always got into fights. And one night he walked up on this guy who was sleeping in the park, and he took his nightstick out and started poking him. But he didn't know the guy was a Vietnam veteran. He took his nightstick from him and commenced to whooping his ass. So,
right.
He had to put resisting on it because his badge was tore off his shirt, his blood in his mouth. Homeless guy put a can of whoop ass on him. But usually when you put resisting on, it's because you had to fight the guy. Literally fight.
Right. And it's an initial charge already in play. Right? There's not resisting is not a charge of it itself because you got to have a current charge to resist that charge. Yep. So I'm so confused, right? And look, a lot of we get a lot of views, a lot of comments. To have a resisted charge, you first got to have an initial charge. If you don't have the initial charge, what are you resisting? People are going to say, "Oh, he was resisting to cooperate with the officer." That's not a charge. That's not that charge. You could get a charge of what's the charge? Interfering with trying to right. I'm trying to conduct an investigation, right? And you can get an interfering charge, but there's no resisting charge because I can't talk to you. It has to be when you have a resisting charge, right? It has to be an initial charge already. It has to be okay. You're arrested for this. Now you're resisting my arrest. There was never an initial arrest for you to resist. That's why that charge was actually thrown out.
I promise you, he didn't put the headlight charge on the arrest hit.
Obstruction. That's the charge I was looking for.
Yeah, I promise you, he didn't put the headlight charge on the ticket. I know for sure he did not say in his report that I stopped this man because he was driving with his headlights off. Right. I promise you, he didn't do that. Because
obstruction. That's the charge I was thinking of. Obstruction.
Right.
Now he's obstructing I can't continue my investigation because you got the door closed. I can't get ID. Now you can come up with an obstruction charge. That's closer to an actual charge. Looking at the the totality of what we're watching on this incident. But resisting, that doesn't even apply. And that's the first thing he says. You're under arrest for resisting. And the first thing I say, okay, what was the initial arrest? Like, so I don't get it, man. I don't get it. That was just horrible policing. And I guarantee you the taxpayers will pay. There were several charges that got dismissed. And I think he got found guilty for one charge. And that was driving on a suspended, not having a valid driver's driving on suspended, which the taxpayers, right? Just think about it, right? If you're a taxpayer and you care about how your money's being spent, would you really, right, support your officer out here? You're spending money. You're paying his salary. Now you got to pay because the guys don't know how to enforce the law. The guys don't know how to follow training procedure. This is an easy win for a civil case. Easy win.
It's not going to go to trial. They'll settle that.
No, this is definitely going to be settled, and the taxpayer's going to feel it.
Yeah, and it won't know, because many times when they make these settlements, they do it behind closed doors and they don't report it out.
Right.
You got to go and pull the document that shows how much.
Right. Yeah.
Undisclosed amount is what they'll say.
Uh-huh.
And it's, it is what it is. It's a way to, when you're self-insured as a city, you better be a big city nowadays if you got cops running around doing stupid stuff like this, because you're paying out a lot of money. There'll be a lot of folks driving Mercedes and Benzes in your neighborhood because the cops are going to be paying, the city's going to be paying for it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. My PBM family, thanks a lot. Don't forget to copy, share, subscribe, and like the videos. Thank you for the support. Remember, take your fight to the courtroom, because on the side of the road, you will get your ass beat down.
You're not going to win.
You're not going to win. So be safe, and I'll see you next video.